Thank you very much, Walt. Appreciate that. Now we're going to go into Q&A. I'm going to get to everybody else's questions before I get to mine. This is for you, Ryan. Actually, so Darren Nunez asked about calculations done with manually or with software. I know it's done with software, but what do you guys use? Is it something proprietary to you guys?
No, there's a lot of different platforms out there available. Some very sophisticated and some just real simple. Depending on what you're trying to calculate. We use AGI, actually, believe it or not, and we also use I forget the other software, but we have a applications team. So what's nice about working with Beghelli and having this resource, they'll do a whole application design for you based on either your load or based on optimal PPFD, just really depending on how you're setting it up. We'll submit the information to our applications team or engineers. If there's any questions, we'll work with our agriculturalist, horticulturalist. So it's nice to be able to have that as a solution so you're not banging your head against the wall on how to how to do that calculation. So, so the best answer is reach out to Anthony Winston, and together we'll put together a really nice application layout and general simulation to get you started for any of your facilities.
Thank you. And Darren also asked about requirements. So where can you find the minimum requirements for lighting based on the regulation referred to? Aren't the requirements also based on client's need? Now, I know you touched on Title 24. I don't think Title 24 right now is dictating the wattage, max wattage and growth spaces, but I know that's coming.
It is coming. And ultimately, it's more about understanding the energy codes. You can go to California Energy Code. You can look all that information up. You can actually just Google that. I'll put the link when I'm done with my Q&A and stuff to where I find that information as well in the chat. But it's available to the public. There's a lot of different ways to find out if it's more for the needs or more for the restriction that the code allows. As you mentioned, Anthony, obviously it's not, so to speak, been mandated yet, but by 2022, 2023, as California becomes a lot more green, here in the state, this is going to be obviously looked at very with a fine-tooth comb, and how we're going to be able to upgrade these existing facilities and mandate certain codes, because we talked about what we would like to do in a facility compared to what we're really allowed to do. But again, one more reason why we can work together. But when I met utility companies, depending on the state, whether it's Massachusetts, Colorado, here in California, the municipality or the utility company or an energy saving company can assist you on putting together the paperwork to make sure that you do use LED lighting and other energy saving solutions to maximize your return. And those programs are available, and professionals can help you out. So
awesome. The next question is for you, Mike. It's actually from our director of ops, Christy White. She's asking about how are you able to do Solatube with multiple floors in a building?
Yeah. And let me actually, I want to jump on Ryan's last question first as well, because I'm pretty familiar with, photometry, just from working with Solatube and working with lighting designers over the years. And I noticed there was a question earlier about, how do we calculate regional light levels? So we actually have photometry that's produced by a third-party company, similar to all electric lighting products. So we can actually produce what we call custom IES files that are based on TMY2 historical weather data. So, we look at, pretty much any site in the world or the closest major airport where we'd have weather data, and we actually can calculate the amount of daylight that would be delivered through a Solatube. It takes into account the indices of refraction and reflection, just like electric light, how the diffusers spread the light, but it actually can look at any hour of the year, clear sky, cloudy, or actual weather conditions. So that's how we, work in the photometric world. We can produce files that we could give to, like Beghelli or the lighting designers you work with, that they can plug into AGI 32 or whatever program they're using. We also have an internal program we use called the Solatube Design Calculator that allows us to just do Solatube layouts, in simple point-by-point calculations. So that's kind of how we can fit in and actually give usable photometric data, that's based on historical weather data. So you actually get to see what the sunlight could deliver. Obviously going to be very different for Southern California versus say like, Massachusetts or, Northern Michigan, somewhere like that. And in response to Christy's question, great question, Christy. We get that a lot. So because of the tubing that we use, it's so highly reflective, we can transfer light extremely long distances. In fact, for every 10 linear feet, with our larger models, we'll probably lose maybe 3% of the light in 10 linear feet. So it's pretty minimal. We'll do tube runs sometimes 60, 70. I've done projects where the tubes run over 80 feet in length, and that's with our 21-inch diameter tube. That's not even the largest Skyvault units. For the 21-inch, 14-inch, and 10-inch diameter Solatubes, we offer angular capabilities. So we actually offer tubes that can make 90-degree turns. So one of the ways we do multi-story projects, we'll typically come down like a chase through the wall on the upper floor. And then if we're trying to get into, the middle of the space, we'll sometimes run the tubes between the ceiling and the floor above, kind of in that plenum space. And then we can turn the tube 90 degrees back down into the ceiling, kind of like this tube right here, this picture. We actually have, tubes that have gone 3 stories. We've had tubes that have gone to underground labs, things like that. We've even done projects where we've mounted the dome to collect the light on a good south-facing exposure on a wall and run the tube in horizontally. So we've done a lot of different multi-story tube runs. It's actually used to actually get lead innovation credits for doing multi-story tube runs like 10, 15 years ago. And now it's like so common that, we don't even blink at it. But yeah, 2, 3-story buildings, very common for us to daylight multiple floors.
Thank you. A couple more questions. I had a question for you, Walt. With cannabis being illegal federally, how are people able to capture those tax credits, those federal tax credits for installing solar and battery backup?
Most people are paying taxes, period. So I have a lot of folks who have different LLCs. Most of their facilities are listed as farms. I haven't had anybody had any issues yet on the federal level, as long as they're paying income tax, which if they're smart, they're paying income tax. That's where they're going to get in trouble by not paying it. And taking the tax credits, even if they didn't take the tax credit and they were too nervous about it for whatever reason, instead of, let's say, having a 3-year rate of return, you've got a 4 or 5. Realistically, it's something that is your best bet. And I'm forbidden to give tax advice because I'm not a tax professional. I've been doing this for a very long time and have realized that you always want to refer them to their trusted tax professional. And most good accountants will work with them to find solutions. Most of these folks have personal tax liabilities as well. You can also have investors that have tax liabilities that can do things that the actual cannabis business may not be able to take advantage of. Hopefully that kind of answered that question.
No, yeah, it did. We got one last question because we're running out of time. Kyle asks, is there any opportunity to use metal halide lighting that produces more heat in the grow space to reduce the amount of reheat energy required by the HVAC?
I'll take that. Just a quick response. I think everybody might have a different one. For me, I don't agree by using lighting to heat any space or any given area. So there's that answer. As far as HVAC, AC, humidification, irrigation, lighting, today it's so sophisticated that you can actually speak to one another, provide these controls and sensors on a full building automation system that communicate and recognize all these aspects, therefore utilizing those specific technologies to actually do what they do. Using lighting to heat a space or designing it or calculating it is definitely, I would say, not the best way to obviously heat a space, especially in a grow facility. I'll let everybody chime in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, you're still spending more money in terms of your utility. I haven't done the analysis, but I would just suggest going LED, and if you can do the LED in conjunction with Solatubes, I mean the ROI is pretty nice. Here, I'm gonna share my screen real quick so we can wrap this up. There we go. So future events, here's our next webinar that takes place next Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be discussing temperature and humidity from a grower's perspective with Jesse Loud at Horton, innovations in HVAC with John Zimmerman at Harvest Integrated, and security with Chris Eggers at Cannabis Corporate Solutions, Security Solutions, excuse me. If you guys need facility help, we're here. I included our contact information below for those looking to, and also for those looking to rent or buy an existing space. We can assist with evaluating the building from an MEP perspective to help you make a decision as to whether you should move forward with buying or leasing your space. I've had quite a few projects where they don't have enough power or didn't account for the location of the HVAC equipment, and that can be very costly. I want to really thank our speakers and everyone for attending. I try to keep it as short as possible because I'm sure everybody is zoomed out by now. But yeah, that's it. Everyone have a wonderful weekend.
Anthony, thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this. Guys, great job.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
All right,
Walter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Winston. That was rad. I appreciate it, man.
no problem. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Anthony.
Thank you.